USAID spending too much.
Cha-cha-cha.
All this and more on Self-Evident Podcast. Well, hi. Thank you for tuning in to Self-Evident Podcast. My name is Massey Campos, and I'm the host of this here podcast, including next to me sitting is my great friend, Michael Sonneveld.
Hi, how are you? I just get some TBN/PBS vibes from this. We're a local channel for you.
That's right.
Talking all things God, all things politics, all things sports, all things what you know about it. That's our live studio audience of one. He presses the button, but he's a live studio audience. Of one.
Of one. Dudes, look, so here's the deal. Mike and I sit down and talk about podcasting, and then we usually just shoot right into her. We've been here for an hour and a half just talking.
Yes, we have.
And we're like, God, we got to film this thing. So we are here with you now, talking about all things government, all things God. And it's great. God, government, all that stuff. And for all of you haters who keep saying, God is not in the Constitution, read a history book. We have read history books. I would encourage you to look beyond what your teachers have taught you and what your colleges have taught you and read a book, you know.
We'll cover separation of church and state in one of our prior videos that you can go to.
Yeah.
Because we probably covered it in probably about 50%, 60% of our videos. So just pick one at random.
Yeah,
Spin the wheel, see what happens.
I think we've got about 300 or 400 videos in these kinds of things. So we do homework, guys, and just because you don't believe it doesn't mean it isn't true. And just like God, even if you don't believe in him, he is still there.
Right.
And so go to the self-evident truth. Sorry. You think
No,
you were
I was
say
just
something.
going to add on to that. I was going to say, so you can either agree with us or be wrong.
Yeah.
That's really all there is to it.
Turn or burn, guys.
Yep.
Turn or burn. That's the message.
Jesus loves
No,
you.
Jesus actually really does. He died for you. And we want to tell you all about it. So go to theselfevidenttruth.com. If you've not gone to our website yet, please do that. If you're a new subscriber, or if you're a new listener, if you're a new watcher, viewer, subscribe. That's great. I found out the statistic on YouTube: 96% of the people that actually watch our show are not subscribers, and so we would love for you to hit that button. So subscribe, and if you get something out of this, please share it as well. We love when you guys share these things because it's going to bring some clarity to things that others might not give you. Right? We're not a Republican Democrat kind of thing. We're just honest Christian, as best we can, constitutionalists that love law. And so we want our government, I don't care who's in office, to be held to the same standards. So that's why we talk about these things. And today we're talking about USAID, not USAA, USAID. USAID.
USAID.
Yeah.
USAID. Which
it's,
doesn't aid the U.S. really at all.
Yeah, so I just read
everybody else.
Just earlier something about 200. There's like millions given to George Soros too. There's like a whole.
I don't remember how much the funding was. I want to say it was like $27 million went to the Soros Open Society Foundation or whatever it is. Their program to basically elect prosecutors that aligned with their values here in the U.S. So our government is giving money to a private nonprofit organization that's going to influence elections in the U.S. That will influence the government.
Guys, we're not even what 30 days into this presidency, and it's already uncovering so many. There's a lot of things, uncovered right now. Right?
I was close, wasn't I?
There's a lot of things being uncovered right now. So, guys, again, thanks for tuning in. We're going to talk about all things USAID, all that stuff, and what's going and what's not going on, especially lesbian dance theory and ice skates.
Yes. Yes, brother. It should. Text to give.
Oh
still
yes, text to give. You know,
dude, he nailed
this
it.
is why we need a producer.
A producer.
A producer.
A Protestant.
So
Protestant producer.
here's what happens. See my son over there. We can't see him.
Our studio audience of one.
Our producer.
He can actually switch it to the. You don't have to do it right now, but he figured out yesterday he can switch back and forth.
Oh hey.
So we have a third angle on that.
I like it. So now that you saw his furry head, he just reminded us. Chia. He just reminded us of a text to give option. This is what happens when you don't have your producers. You forget all about that stuff. If you guys want to text to give, Nathan, what is text to give? Come on, man.
Okay, I forgot the mic. If you want to give to Self-Evident Ministry, you could text the word give to 772-242-0299. That is 772-242-0299. Text the word give to that number.
Yep, and it helps us.
I just love
do this.
I love that you faithless swine put the ask at the beginning of the podcast. How dare you? You just don't trust the Lord, do you?
I wish you guys could read some of the comments we get in our videos and like our social medias, TikToks. Oh my goodness, it's so fun.
We might say we're not petty, but we'd be lying to you if we said we weren't petty.
There's times where you want to be.
There are times where you just have to take a punch.
There are times you got to let her loose. Yeah. Okay, so we're USAID. There's okay. Can anyone out there confirm with me? Please comment down below. Did you know anything about USAID before any of this happened?
And you're gonna get like all the internet keyboard wars. Of course I knew about it. I knew what was going on a long time ago. Well, why didn't you say anything? Nobody knew or nobody cared.
I'll say this: I had no idea that organization existed in the government.
I knew the name of it, and I knew that I had seen it pop up during the whole Eco Health Alliance stuff with COVID and all of that. That was the only time I had really seen the name pop up. But I think you're right. It flew so under the radar for everybody that nobody really knew what was going on, that it was only, the purse of the deep state at this point.
Slush fund.
Yeah.
Which now is saying they've been saving the taxpayer now up to $1 billion a day. Take that times 365. That's like a lot of money.
$3.65 billion.
Oh, wait.
I'm thinking about that one person who's like, Elon Musk has like $300 billion, so he could give $1 billion to every person in America. What?
That's what we're facing, folks. Right there.
Anyways, here we go. All right, so USAID. What were they giving money to? This was obviously a government program that was very beneficial, very valid, super useful, extremely influential, the most important, the best ever. It was the greatest of all time. We used it all around the world. It was perfect. It was great. Never had problems. Well, except for $2 million for sex changes and LGBT activities and activism in Guatemala. We had $6 million to fund tourism in Egypt. Spent $20 million on Halan Shimshim, a new Sesame Street show in Iraq. Over $4.5 million to combat disinformation in Kazakhstan. Who has a computer in Kazakhstan?
We do not care.
Sorry.
But
offensive, probably.
But obviously the deep state did, and the Democrats.
Yeah, we care very much about Kazakhstan.
Actually, Republicans too. They weren't exactly blowing the whistle on this mess, and they all know about it.
Oh, thank you. Go with that.
Yeah, there's actually something kind of scary here, right? Trump was in office for 4 years. What was anything talked about then about this USAID, USAID stuff?
No.
And that's
a really good point.
That's a little scary that it's all coming out now. Like, what's going on?
Right. Trump never said much.
Like, brought it up
last round. Now, how much did he know? I don't. But after 4 years, you would think somebody would have enough knowledge that they kind of figured it out.
Yeah, totally.
Okay, so I signed in. I'm actually going to add my screen, so this way we can see it.
That's what that little sound was. The bleep.
Yeah, that was me. That was me signing in.
I like this.
There it is.
Whoa!
Whoa! All right, hold on, everybody. Hold your hats.
You're in the
There
mic.
we go.
They're in the mic
All right,
tricks.
so avoid the lady swigging olive oil for all of those who can see it. There's a lot of ads on this site. But so we had over 4.5 million to combat disinformation in Kazakhstan. And I've got the only workout to follow for men over 60. No, it's not for you. Up to 10 million worth of USAID funded meals went to Al-Qaeda linked terrorist group, the Nursa Front, because nothing says America more than sending free meals to Nursa Front. Influence? 500,000 to group that empowers women in an attempt to solve sectarian violence in Israel just 10 days before Hamas's October 7th attacks. Gave nearly 25 million to Deloitte to promote green transportation in Georgia, the country. 4.67 million to EcoHealth Alliance, one of the key non-governmental organizations funding bat virus research at Wuhan Institute of Virology in late 2021. Later refused to answer key questions about the funding. 20 million for the Strengthening Transparency and Accountability Through Investigative Reporting program. Say that 10 times fast.
Was that the money to Politico?
Oh, probably. No. Which used the Organized Crime and Corruption Reporting Project as its implementing partner. The OCCRP was cited 4 times in the whistleblower letter that led to the Russiagate impeachment. And then USAID's 2022 to 2030 climate strategy outlined a $150 billion whole-of-agency approach to build an equitable world with net zero greenhouse gas emissions. 7.9 million to a project that would teach Sri Lankan journalists to avoid binary gendered language. 1.1 million to an Armenian LGBT group. 1.2 million to the African. Now, all you separation of church and state people. 1.2 million to the African Methodist Episcopal Church Service and Development Agency in Washington, D.C. to build a state-of-the-art 440-seat auditorium. 1.3 million to Arab and Jewish photographers. 1.5 million to promote LGBT advocacy in Jamaica. 1.5 million to rebuild the Cuban media ecosystem. 1.5 million for art for inclusion of people with disabilities. 2 million to propose LGBT equality through entrepreneurship in developing Latin America. 2.1 so the BBC can strengthen the media ecosystem in Libya. On and on and on and on and on. You know. Okay, so I'll delete this crazy screen. There you go. You're back in control, bud. Anyways, I could go forever.
Oh, there's so much here, man. And what's unique is you almost have to wonder who allowed this to happen and are they prosecutable? Because really, what you're doing is committing treason. And I know that sounds like a harsh word, right? But when you're giving to foreign enemies,
Nursa Front. Al-Qaeda linked Nursa Front. We were sending $10 million worth of free meals to them.
Just saying.
And how much money that hasn't been talked about yet? Did any money whatsoever get funneled to Iran?
Right.
Get funneled to ISIS? Get funneled to Taliban? Get funneled to Hamas? If any money has gone to those, well, we are in the territory of treason.
And that's what I'm saying. So, like, you have that, and then all of a sudden, too, you mentioned something about separation of church and state. You know, for the government to give money to a specific organization or religion to constitutionally
build something.
Yeah, that's where it gets a little hairy. It's like we don't want one sect of government or one sect of religion being provided for by the government to institute something.
And Madison actually argued against that, right? So Madison, I don't remember, it's a super long title of the speech he gave, but basically what he was arguing was, look, our taxes should not go to specific religious projects because if your conviction is something different, well, now we're using a man's dollars and forcing him
100%.
to pay towards something that's against his conviction.
100%.
And I agree.
Right.
I don't think government dollars should be going to fund religious projects.
Right.
I should be able to have my money to go fund that religious project, but the government shouldn't be getting involved in that.
Yeah. And again, if you're against that, I just want you to think about something. Taxes are being given by people who don't know your organization, your church, your entity, right? And so you're forcing their money to be given to you. Where's Christ in them? It's stealing. It's thievery. And really, that's what this is completely. they were stealing from the American people, and I'm not a big tax guy anyway, but like they were stealing from the American people to do things that you know darn well you wouldn't be for. Most Americans, the whole reason the Democrats on the left, or whatever you want to call them, the right, the left, that are getting all antsy right now and they're getting all frustrated and they're in the streets going resist, and the ones saying that are the black people. Seriously, they're the ones saying resist because they're trained Marxists. That's what they are, and they're in positions of power. So they're decrying this because this is what they wanted. And so now funding is being stripped. I'm not putting Trump on a pedestal here. I'm saying funding is being stripped, which this should have been done a long time ago, right? However, at some point, we have to say, is this treasonous against the American people? Are they not holding to their oath of office by doing the things that they've been doing? And if they're not holding to that office, should they be removed or impeached or whatever? Now they're trying to impeach Trump again, another whole thing.
I'm telling you, every single administration is now going to have to go through impeachment proceedings because the can of worms got opened back during Trump's first presidency. And I'm telling you, we're going to see it every single cycle. Okay, more impeachment because it's become a sledgehammer of the other party.
It's the new racist word. Everybody's a racist. Everything's racist. Everything you do is racism. Or homophobia or whatever, transphobia. That's what it's become. It's literally boy who cried wolf all over again. It's a new buzzword, is the impeachment proceedings. Like, look, we've talked about this in the other podcast. We have our reservations about what's going on here for sure. But we're also saying, too, if government now is being held accountable and we're saying we're going to cut that funding, who's going to be held accountable for allowing the funding to happen in the first place?
Nobody.
Because you can't tell me these lesbian projects and diversity inclusion crap and a Sesame Street thing was all done by the past administrations 20, 40 years ago. That sounds recent stuff. Mm-hmm. So who's allowed this to happen? Who's going to get prosecuted for this? For violating their oath of office, for blowing the people's tax money? Like who's I think that's where the question should be. It's like this will continue to happen if we don't start prosecuting those who are destroying the Constitution, number one. Number two, who are doing it and getting away with it. Like, how are things going to change if we're not holding someone accountable for these things? So we're saying, yeah, we're cutting the funding. And everybody's like, yeah, cut the funding. Who's talked about, well, who's responsible for this mess? Who set all this up? Where are they?
Yeah. Which I do credit Trump, Musk, Doge, wherever you want to put the credit. I do credit this movement for putting a bunch of people on leave. And there was a National Review article that I was going through and reading, and there was a guy named Moyer who was a senior political appointee at USAID during Trump's first term. And then he started reporting widespread waste, fraud, and abuse within the agency. After that, he got the axe. Right? He got fired. So this is National Review. I'm going to read it as a quote. Moyer's efforts to clean up the agency caused subversive bureaucrats to orchestrate my termination on bogus charges of divulging classified information. Those same bureaucrats helped maintain employment for the people who perpetrated the waste, fraud, and abuse. Fortunately, these individuals have just been put on leave for their most recent efforts to obstruct the Trump White House. So I think he makes a great point here, but I think they've got to be very careful of like, okay, anybody who could have a position of power in this whole mess needs to be put on leave immediately. Get them out of positions of power, get them out of having influence over the next process. Because when it gets rolled in under Rubio as Secretary of State, you cannot have the system still in place and expect Rubio to be able to do it. So the more you can get any of these people who might have been pulling strings off to the sides so you can figure out, okay, what's going on, the better.
Right.
You know?
But placed on leave does not bring a resolve to me.
Not yet.
You know what I'm saying? So, like, I agree with you. There are people who've been let go. But I'm talking about they knowingly did this, wasting taxpayer money, something that's just wrong and illegal on so many fronts. You know what I mean?
And my hope is, and I think this is what's going on, but my hope is it's not just leave, it's a leave towards termination, right? So you're on leave right now. Let's figure out what you were doing. If you had any hand in this, you're done. You're terminated. You could be on leave, and we find out you had no clue what was going on or whatever. You weren't in a position of power. But still, even then, let's thinking that through vocally. Who wouldn't know this was going on at USAID?
Right.
Who could say,
I think too,
with clean conscience, I didn't know that we were funding Iraqi Sesame Street. We were funding LGBT conversion in Guatemala.
LGBT underwater basket weaving classes. Here's another thing. Congress approves money's being spent. Now, they may have just given a bunch of slush money and said, we'll just trust you with it. But wouldn't you think if they had, let's just say, I'm just throwing a hypothetical, we approved $500 billion for USAID. Wouldn't you want a report of that money?
Yeah, and people are making that argument that, well, USAID was part of Congress, and Congress authorized it.
I agree.
And so Trump can't do anything about it. Okay, we could have that conversation, but why is it that Congress isn't doing anything? Just to your point, why is Congress not doing anything about all of this crap?
Where are the whistleblowers?
Right. How come Congress is how dare he shut it down? Did you know it was going on?
That's right. Someone had to know. You guys voted yes on this.
So you're, especially those Democrats, you were in a lose-lose. Either you didn't know about it, and you should have, or you did know about it, and you were letting it go on.
And you're afraid to get exposed about it, right?
So then you say, let's go to the streets, but we're not allowed to use the word insurrectionist for you?
That's right.
Oh, okay.
That's right. So turning the American people against its government is insurrection.
I mean, I seem to remember people sitting in prison for a long time.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, no bones about it here, folks. And again, I think what's happening with Doge and the whole thing is unbelievable. I will give him that to expose this stuff. But that's one little in the grand scheme of all this, right? Because now you're going to uncover congressional mistrust, right? So already it's been the mistrust of the media. Now it's government mistrust, which we've all had for years, right? On these little fronts of like spending all this money. But now it's like we're calling into question the Congress. We're calling into question the Supreme Court, I think. I'm calling into question everything.
Yeah.
Right? Because you just can't tell me nobody knew we were giving to lesbian dance theory. You can't tell me we didn't know we were giving to sex change. You can't tell me you didn't know this kind of stuff. You can't say that. There's no way that let's say it this way. What bank loans out money without proper oversight and accountability? What business would succeed that way? How come when you do your taxes you have to be so close-knit? Or for me, doing a 990 for the ministry because we're a nonprofit. All these things have to be so nice and in order. If not, you get fined or you get questioned or all this. But man, when government does it, it's like, well, oversight, we'll put them on leave.
Bro, the Pentagon can have almost $1 trillion that they just can't find. They don't know how it got spent. But not one name on the chopping block.
That's what I'm saying. Because sentence against an evil work is not executed speedily. Therefore, evil is set in the hearts of men to do it. You can fire them, but that's not teaching them anything. They knowingly frauded the American people. Knowingly. Congress, come on. You can't tell me they didn't know. And I'm talking to all of you, Republicans too. You guys can't tell me you didn't know these things were being done. You can't come out and say, well, we had no idea we were given to sex changes in whatever country it was. We had no clue. You can't say that. There's no way you didn't know something was going on with USAID.
Yeah. And you cannot imagine that these guys weren't talking in Congress. Like, dude, you see what just got given, to Sri Lanka? They're like, no, what? Dude, they're training journalists to not use binary language. As soon as that conversation should have happened, guaranteed that type of conversation happened. As soon as it happened, somebody should have said, maybe we should be looking into USAID and where the money is going. I saw a picture, a couple of what I would assume are terrorists, but who knows? Maybe they're just freedom fighters. One of them's holding a rocket launcher. The tent that they have set up that they're standing under, on the back of it says USAID. as though they're a sponsor of this guy with a rocket launcher sitting there.
Yeah, I saw that picture too,
Yeah.
actually. Yeah, you're right. You know, and there was that other study done, because this is so important, you guys. They injected dogs with cocaine to figure out the reactions. That's the legit.
Hey, let me save you the millions of dollars that you spent on that. Go down to Skid Row and sit there for 15 minutes. Guaranteed you'll
find something.
You'll observe what goes on.
I think that's really where my mind goes, is prosecution of wrongs done, right? Because that's the only way this will change, is when it's like someone's got to be held accountable before things change. Firing them, okay, so you're going to put in some other new people, and all they're going to know is I can get fired for just doing something wrong. Bro, if there was money laundering, which is what this is, it's
that's
freaking
all
laundering.
It is. That's all.
Money laundering in any kind of scheme at all, any business, you'd go straight to jail. Right to jail. Giving cocaine to dogs, right to jail. Sesame Street place, wrong, straight to jail.
It's the perfect voice.
Yeah.
For that. Right to jail.
Lesbian skating, then straight to jail. Right. So seriously, any kind of money laundering scheme, if I did it in the ministry, all that stuff, you go to jail.
Could you imagine?
You get prosecuted at least.
Yeah. Could you imagine some nonprofit throwing money around like crazy? Everybody, fine-tooth comb, especially the Christian nonprofits. Oh, you spend $1,000 on a pen. Which, yeah, we could question. But then we look at our government and, well, it's under the sector of influence.
Guise.
And the
Under the
guise
premise
of
of influence. Yeah.
We want to influence the peoples of other nations.
And they get congressional immunity or whatever the bull crap is. And all you're teaching them is they can get away with doing anything they want with no repercussion. That's what you're doing, right? And that's why they love it. And I'm talking to all of you Republican senators too. I love you guys. I do. I pray for Congress and Senate and all that stuff. But God, dog, you guys are like cheering right now. And I'm saying, you guys, you can't tell me you didn't know.
Right.
You can't say you didn't know. And now you guys are spiking footballs? Well, how come you guys didn't have the guts to do it before? Why did it take Trump to do it? And I'm not heralding Trump here. I'm just saying, why did it take that? Why did it take someone from the outside to say, we're going to create a Doge program to hold people accountable? Why? Why weren't they? You see them? It's frustrating to me. Because it's like, we're like, oh yeah, government's being exposed. Yeah, spending's being exposed, but government's not being exposed right now. Exposure means something's coming. Someone's going to pay for this, and we don't really see that right now.
That's I think,
and I'm not trying to speak too soon. It may happen.
That's the other thing that makes me nervous is we can say, oh, they're canning people. Yeah, but is anybody actually going to be prosecuted?
That's what I'm
for
saying.
the stuff that and that's what scares me. I agree with you. It's such a dangerous road because we'll be so quick, like you said, to spike the football and celebrate. Oh, we finally stopped. But nobody's going to get... It's just like Trump's first term. Drain the swamp. Who got prosecuted?
Dude, it should...
Who?
Yeah, exactly. Should we be spiking footballs right now or actually being remorse and repentance? You know what, American people, we're sorry. We failed here. We failed at our jobs. We didn't do it. We didn't hold anybody accountable. We weren't checking. It was like, even you who didn't know, y'all should be out there. We're sorry. We didn't see this. We didn't know. Nothing.
Yeah.
We're saving people money. It's like, and nobody's saying the opposite. Nobody's going to go and pay for something here.
And let's be frank. This is...
I'll be Massey.
Okay. I'll be Frank. You be Massey.
Mm.
I'll be Massey. You be Frank.
Sure.
Okay. Anyways, their budget, and correct me if I'm wrong, please in the comments, you're free to correct me, but if I remember correctly, their budget was about $43 billion.
Yeah.
Drop in the bucket of the U.S. budget overall. I'm not saying it's not important, but I think everybody's like, we solved the deficit. We solved the debt. Pennies, bro. Pennies. You know, like, I get it, but I think everybody's like, oh, we found the problem.
It's like a person who's in debt going, I started shopping at Aldi.
Yeah, I
saved $20.
I put my quarter in the cart and I pay $5 less. I've reconciled my budget.
Exactly.
And meanwhile, everybody else is going, "You stupid! You still paying for Netflix? You're paying for Apple? You paying for Amazon?
$1,000 car payment.
Right.
You got like all this.
No, I saved
But
at
I
Aldi's,
shopped at
though.
Aldi's.
Yeah.
I saved some coupon stuff.
But they're bargain bacon. Doing good now. But LaCroix.
Or Aldi's brand. LaCrux.
LaCrux. Hint of line.
You rounded out.
So,
anyways, prosecution. I believe that needs to happen for something to change.
I go ahead and be happy that it's starting to come to light, but I agree. I think this is where we really push for not just, hey, this shouldn't have happened. Now it's in the realm of prosecution. We need people to be prosecuted for this because you need to make an example of you knowingly broke the law. You knowingly were subversive with the U.S. system. You spent our tax dollars for your own schemes.
Yep.
That's not going to happen anymore. We'll see what happens.
Yep, totally.
And P.S., shop at Aldi's. Yeah.
Not sponsored by this company.
No, we're not sponsored by Aldi's. Aldi's probably wouldn't want us saying shop at Aldi's, but guess what? I don't care. America's free. It's my opinion. Anyways, we love you all. Go to theselfevidenttruth.com. Get yourself some merch.
Yeah, get a
yourself
hat.
some resources.
We saw this lady saying she make America follow the Constitution again. Did you see that video?
No.
It's cool. She was like she goes, "There's Make America Healthy Again."
She's
She
like,
goes,
I think we should come up with Make America.
No, listen, it's so funny. She goes, "There's MAHA, Make America Healthy Again. There's MAGA, Make America Great Again." She goes, "I think there needs to be a Make America Follow the Constitution Again, motherfucker." She goes, "That sounded better in my head." Well, what I did was I just found that video and I tagged her in it because it's got a lot of traction. And I said, that's been our slogan for 9 years. Get a hat. Represent, dude. So, yeah, we got the Make America Constitutional Again hats and shirts available
I like Mafia.
on our website. We have two new designs coming out, actually, by March, God willing, that are really cool. We'll show you those designs once they're printed. Or at least once they start printing, we're actually looking at a level of shirt that we really want that color to be. When we do that, you guys can pre-order the shirts. Our new book is out, which is great. You can get it on Amazon. We'll put the link on our website here very soon. There's just so many cool things right now. So we're really excited about that. Thank you again for tuning in, guys, so much. We love you. We'll see you on Monday.
Love you guys. Peace.